So, welcome to Introduction to Philosophy. And this is fall. So, it's the end of spring, obviously. I don't know if you can see any of the flowers around. But I wanted to make this a short little video to say hello, welcome you to the course, and to give you a brief overview of the kinds of things that we'll be doing. I'm assuming that most of you, if not all of you, have never taken a philosophy course before and probably aren't familiar with the subjects. The philosophers that we're going to be covering are probably people that you have heard about, although maybe not. But there are certainly people like Socrates and Plato and Aristotle, Hegel, Kant, Descartes, names that I think a lot of people use. But if you've not studied who they are and so on, this will be your chance to get an idea of what they're like and why they're so famous. When you think about it, the main reason a person becomes a famous philosopher is because of the number of citations that people make from their work. And so we'll be looking at the people that have been most popular down through history. But our goal is to get up to contemporary times so that we can understand and participate in the conversation, it's called, the great conversation, the discussion about values and virtues and all sorts of other issues that are very important for us. In fact, they're usually thought of as the most highly valuable topics that we talk about. Things like what our rights are, for example, as human beings, if we have rights at all, the value of life, all those kinds of questions are usually thought of as philosophical questions. So, welcome to the course, and probably what you want to know is, do you think you can get an A in the course? And the answer is yes. Practically anyone can get an A, I think, in the course. My requirements are really pretty light, I think. I have 3 tests that you have to respond to, and the way that you can get an A in the tests is by answering 3 out of 6 questions with a minimum of 300 words each question. So you're writing. It's a writing response to those questions. Besides the test questions, I also have a term paper. And the term paper, you get to pick a philosopher from a list of philosophers that I've picked. And the main reason I've picked those philosophers is those people are active in our contemporary conversation, and it would be good for you to be familiar with them. And they're all alive, except for, well, there are a few that are just, they're mostly dead because of how old they are, but they're not completely dead. If you're familiar with the Princess Bride meme, the idea that Wesley is not completely dead, that's kind of sort of the way a lot of our aged philosophers are today. But you can still pick those. And in fact, I even have on the list a couple who are completely dead. But they're so recently dead that they're still pretty valuable as far as being familiar with them. But if you also come up with a philosopher that you like already, that's not on my list, you can ask me if that would be one for you to do. The only one I usually don't let people do is Ayn Rand, because, well, we'll talk about that if you ask about it. So the term paper is mostly your thoughts on that philosopher. So you could write stuff about the philosopher's life, or you could write about the philosopher's thought, or both. But it's your thoughts, too, that I'm interested in. And the main reason for both of those, the tests and the term paper, is because I think of the language model, the language learning model, as the main way that we learn today. The way that you do that is by reading, listening, and having a conversation, and writing is part of that conversation. So I want you to practice writing and reading and talking about the vocabulary that we use in philosophy. I don't know if you could hear my St. Bernard using her vocabulary right now. She uses that just to irritate the neighbors. The third grading mechanism that I have is a quiz question that I will use for each half of each week. So if you figure we have 30 sessions, there will be 30 quiz questions. And those you can respond to by just emailing me your thoughts and a paragraph or more. On all of these assignments, if you want to write more, you're absolutely welcome to, because that's better for you. It's more exercise, basically. But the minimum is 300 words per question, so 900 words per test, 3,000 words for the term paper, which you have the whole semester to do, and a paragraph or two for your quiz question responses. So mostly I think it's easily doable, and notice I'm not very concerned at all with your grammar. You might even want to use other languages if you feel like it. That's okay. I can easily translate most languages thanks to modern technology. And in fact, we'll be discussing some things in foreign languages. There's the Latin quotations that we'll hear, some Greek words that we'll cover. There's French expressions that are pretty popular, and even some German expressions. So that should be something we cover, because we adopt those words in English and they become part of our English vocabulary. So those are the three things that I will grade. The rest of the course is really there because you're paying for it. It's like if you want, and you go and you buy a pizza and then you say thanks and then you leave without taking the pizza or eating any of it, you're clearly not getting your money's worth. Although the pizza shop is happy because they got your money, right? So if you want, of course, the value of the course, you should read the kinds of things that I will post as recommended. They're all on the internet and they're all free. So I'm not going to assign a textbook. There's no $100 textbook that you have to go buy. Everything should be found easily on the internet. In fact, there's usually multiple sources for a lot of the things. If we read Plato's Apology, for example, there's at least 5 or 6 different versions of that on the internet already for free, and hundreds more, really, if you want to go out and spend money for them, or go to the library and check out the books that we have. And that's pretty true with a lot of the things we'll be looking at. Up until Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes is really the first philosopher we do who actually wrote in English. And that's about the same time as Shakespeare. So that's up until modern philosophy, really. So a lot of the philosophers we'll look at are in translation. And language is one of my favorite things to talk about because I was a linguist, an Army linguist. I should mention I was not in the Coast Guard. This is my favorite hat, though. I did spend 2 weeks on the Boutwell around Alaska, so that was pretty interesting. But I was in the Army, and I was an Army linguist. And my best educational experience was a year spent at the Monterey Defense Language Institute, which is why I think the language learning model is really the most interesting way we can learn things. So I wanted to make this brief. The videos that I will post subsequent to this one are not mandatory. They're videos that I made in classes where since 2013, I've been using this camera in order to film my classes. I didn't have a professional setting up the way it was being filmed. I just brought it in, sat it on this little tripod on a desk somewhere. Didn't really aim it at me or aim it at the screen. I tried to do both, but for the most part, the only thing you really get out of it maybe is the audio. But they're there as an option for you to try to get a sense of what a face-to-face class would be like with me, because of course that's where I made all of those videos. There's a master list that I'll post if you're interested, but I'll post specific videos that I think might be the best ones for a particular class that we'll cover. So they're there as an option for you. And I'll have the links to the readings so that you can use those. And I also have lecture notes that I'll have posted, or I already have posted. I have a website, but I cannot update the website. I haven't been back into my office since the buildings were closed, and I don't expect to be back in my office to change things on that. But I'll send out notes via Blackboard. I'll post them there, and each time I do that, I'll also send them out as an email to everyone so that you could see the notes for the week. I usually will do that on Saturdays before the week that those lectures will cover. So the rest of the time, we're not actually going to meet face-to-face, obviously. I suppose eventually this semester we might be able to meet face-to-face, but for now, it's mostly going to be through email, Zoom. If you feel like Zooming, we could set up Zoom meetings. Those are pretty interesting, how they work, because not only do you see everyone else, you also get to see yourself. So that's pretty interesting. What else is interesting at the moment? Well, I'm glad to have everyone in the course, even though I'm not actually going to meet you face to face. Right now there's about 23 registered as the last time I looked at it. We still got about a week to go before classes start. But email me if you like. We could set up a Zoom meeting if you like. You can call me, my home phone. If you call my office phone, obviously my office phone is sitting there all by itself because I'm not in the office. We're locked out of the buildings. Pretty interesting situation. Well, I hope your summer has been good so far and that you're ready for fall. Very sad that we're not going to have our state fair. That was one of the things that I always like to go to, of course, this time of year, to see all the different things and all the same things, actually. All right. Nice meeting you.